What's up, you guys? I'm back. Different location this time. Still the same core message. You know, I want to start by saying first, what's up? How are you guys doing? Um, this class has really taken me on a journey. And I will say that. I'll say that because it has really made me introspectively look at my own career and the places that I want to go, which I will talk about later and I won't get into because I don't want to give you guys that much of a sneak peek yet. How I can be successful and the things that I have to navigate that the people before me had to navigate to become successful, how I can use those to my advantage. I'll talk about that later because that is one of my points that I do think is very key into triumph and things of that nature. But first, what I'm going to talk about during the Civil War, I'm going to talk about Black economic suppression. And there were a lot of reasons as to why Black people were suppressed economically and not really able to create any generational wealth or really have anything that they own themselves. And one of those reasons being the wage. So enslaved people, you know, they were not like they weren't treated obviously fair at all. They had to go through these harsh conditions, excessive hours, um, punishment, even if they did the job, because slave owners, they're gonna do what they want. There are no laws or rules in place that say, hey, you can't do this. They have slaves. It's like that is this life that they lived, that the time that they lived through were in essence lawless. Like the idea of slaves is crazy. I'm not gonna get into that because I don't have to explain that to you guys especially. But the idea of that is crazy. Like it's just crazy. It's just crazy. The next thing being war. So many enslaved Black people and even free Black people fought in the war, and they saw themselves as patriots. However, their white counterparts who they fought in the war with, and even the generals, people who were back home who were doing the hiring, did not see that at all. They still went through the same messed up, messed up stuff. Discrimination from jobs, employment, work, like whatever. Like despite them, a lot of times, a lot of cases being on the forefront and really helping, you know, in this war, they still weren't treated all that good, like at all. Like like they didn't come home to much. They came home to the same disrespectful BS that they had to deal with before and even during the war, which isn't talked about at all. I feel like. And then so the next like part that I want to talk about is the Emancipation Proclamation. So when Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, said, "Oh, the slaves are free," all that. A lot of people don't know this. Juneteenth, a holiday that many Black people celebrate, I myself partake in because I feel like it is not talked about and it is very important as to why I myself am even here. So the Emancipation Proclamation was signed because even despite after Abraham Lincoln freeing the slaves, a lot of people in the South, slave owners, got this information and they did not transfer this down and free the slaves that they had. There was no one enforcing these laws. Like a lot of people were still enslaved and didn't know and for a couple years after, which is, that's a big, big part to me why Black people, especially in the South, as we can see now, because like Southern poor and Northern poor are completely different things. I would say, like if you are poor in the South then and now, it is much harder to get anywhere. Like people do it, don't get me wrong, but it is very hard to get up from that because there's not like the North has then had many things to offer, like industrial revolution, like things like that. Like the South did not have things like that. So when they were not freed and then when they finally got out, they were so behind some of even their Black counterparts and especially the white people. That's not even up for debate. Yeah, but that kind of also ties into the Jim Crow laws, which impeded the progression of Black employment, home ownership, and education. And that's something I actually do want to talk about. And I'll talk about that right now. The land ownership was something that we did not have at all as Black people. Like as we can see now, I'll say land ownership, real estate, things like that. That is a really big reason as to why people have their money make their own money. And although I'll go back. I'm gonna rewind. Pre-colonial Africa, we didn't really have that like good of a concept of land ownership or real estate, anything like that. It's still like that is a big factor on why people made money. And the people who did back then, they were the ones who were seeing the money. Even through navigating all the laws that white people put in place for us, like they still. And then, something that's not talked about at all because people see the North, once you got past that Mason-Dixon line, people see that as like, oh, once you get past there, it's like you're free. It's like it's not a video game. It's not a video game at all. Like as soon as you get up there, it's not all sunshines and rainbows. They're still going. They're not enslaved people, but they're still going through discrimination of getting a house, a job, like all the things that I listed before. They still had to go through that. Although there were laws saying that, oh, you can't do that. Do you think they don't care about that? That is not a problem for them. So, these 5 things I just listed, these are the things that I feel like are the most important as to why Black people, could not progress themselves, and they were suppressed and oppressed from getting places that they needed to be, that, that we see now that we're doing. But if who knows where we would be at right now. I, I won't even don't even get me started. But if they had the things that we have now, or that the white people had then, man, I don't know where I'd be at. And the next, we're gonna talk about the economic triumph. So, the first thing we're gonna talk about is the literacy. It was on an uprise. Like I would say it started after we were working in jobs and all that, but it really started when our people saw the white people making these transactions of slaves, sadly, food, cattle, whatever. Like if you keep hearing something, you're gonna catch on, you're gonna pick up. Like people thought these Africans who came over and were enslaved and whatever, that they were just stupid. They had their own business before this. Like they weren't just like lawless people running around and with things throwing at each other, like trying to kill each other. Like they weren't lawless people. So another thing is, on top of that, with the literacy, we are like, by not only having our own businesses and passing that down through the Black people on like the plantations, and seeing white people make these transactions, we already had these entrepreneurship skills that help us become entrepreneurs. So whether that's running a business, being the manager of something like a restaurant, for example, or it could be anything simple. There were a lot of different jobs then that aren't needed now, but still, the things like that, like it's like that it builds up. It really does build up. And I feel like the biggest part of our triumph was really like just like the demand of jobs, like and the overall work ethic. Like we need, like, America needed people to work these jobs that some people just they did not want to work. And Black people did that. They took those jobs up. They already obviously were enslaved. They did things they did not want to do. So what is working a job where I'm getting paid? Like, what is it? How much more is that? Like, it's nothing to us. I know that. So yeah. Um, and then in the Civil War, like I said, Black literacy. So an example of that, Antoine Ducar from South Carolina, I believe. There were a lot of people starting businesses, and he was one of them, and that really stuck out to me when I was reading the book. Yeah, that really stuck out to me because he was an interesting story, and he was one of the he's one of the, I don't want to say forefounders of, or he's just like a stepping stone that we can use to see why we progressed like just like business wise. Um, then, much like us being here, like in college today, I want to say us being here is not by luck or by chance. Like you know, just like me being here and making this video for you guys, explaining all these facts, like I'm not here by luck. Our people put the work in. We had the skills, like just like me. And you guys, like, had the skills really and what it took to be here. So it is not by chance at all. Like we had these skills. Then next, I just want to talk about how like, you know, me and those closest to me, I think how we are going to really like just use these things, like I said in the beginning of the video, to our advantage. Like I feel like after like not only just at this time, because a lot of things I can't use now, but the people that I see failing or even succeeding, but I really look at the people failing. Like, what are the people failing doing that I can do better or I can capitalize on that I won't make that mistake? That is how I think that I am going to succeed the most in life. So I feel like me and the people around me who I surround myself with who have similar paths and want to do the same things. I think that's something that we really try and capitalize on. We always like I feel like just people in general. Like we try and glorify people's successes, but everyone has a different path. But a lot of people who are successful went through the same struggles and failures. So I want to see what they did that they did wrong and how I can do it right. But my path will be different. So that's all I have for you guys. Um, you know, this class and just talking about things like that has really jogged my mind because me personally, I want to be in the music industry. So I know it's gonna be tough, but man, like things like this, learning about entrepreneurship and how to think executively and have an executive summary, all things like that, like it has really, really, really like, man, it has made me a better student, a better learner, even a better teacher. Like even though I'm just a Morehouse student, I am still a teacher at the end of the day. I'm a teacher. I'm a listener, I'm a learner. And as I keep going through this class and learning these difficult subjects, I'll be honest, these difficult subjects, I feel like they will just keep hammering in my mind on how to be better. So I can't thank this class enough for that. So thank you guys.